Hello, this is Diane Young Sussman, the host of Doorways to the South Global Summit. I am so glad you're all here. As we sit together on the threshold of this new eon, each of us ask ourselves, what do I bring with me now and here? What must I shift in order to open the doorway and to step to the other side? What to let go of, and what is possible for all in love and in freedom and in possibility. Each of our speakers brings a wealth of wisdom and expertise to this portal. There are many doorways to the divine, and we honor you today, Maggie Gardner, to our call. Welcome.
Thank you.
So just for the sake of our audience, Maggie, I'd love to share your bio and let them know a little bit about who you are and what you've been doing. As an advocate, Maggie Gardner has been a crusader for cancer survivorship, as only someone who has been there could be. Knowing firsthand the shock of cancer diagnosis, the malevolence of the illness, and the personal toll of challenges facing cancer survivors with limited financial and social resources within the poorest corners of Connecticut cities. These challenges combine to produce an interrelated web of extraordinary psychological, physical, and social hardships, often including depression, anxiety, loneliness, and sense of helplessness. The result is often despair, leading to substandard self-care and care from others, as well as the loss of job, family, income, and housing. It can come down to a choice of electricity or food for medicine in a particular week. And after a while, a loss of the will to go on and fight for the chance to get well and re-enter society. In 2007, the establishment of Gardner's House, Inc. heralded Maggie's mission to improve the course of personal recovery from cancer, and particularly for those living within Hartford's most disadvantaged neighborhoods. Through Gardner's House, Maggie understands the power of love and faith in service to others and community, and speaks of how much value service and kindness are, and a valuable way to find a doorway to the self through assisting others in their time of need. So welcome, Maggie.
Thank you, Diane. It is so good to be here with you. You are truly a breath of fresh air. Thanks for having me.
So, Maggie, I just want to ask you to begin, what would you consider compassion care for cancer survivors to be? Could you explain that a little bit to us?
Yes, I will. And thank you. As a two-time breast cancer survivor myself, I have had the experience of not being able to care for myself as I would like to, or to have someone care for me. So when it comes to caring for cancer survivors, you have to be able to understand their story. You have to be able to see what they are going through, even without the verbalizing it to you. Because I have gone through similar situation, I know exactly what they are going through. So you develop compassion and the urgency, especially when someone said that I'm going to be homeless, the urgency to find the resources to help them to be where to stay where they are, that kicks in into high gear because being in that position like that before, I understand the stress, I understand the toll it takes on you, and not only that, but body and mind have got to come together to heal. And if your mind is thinking, how am I going to pay my rent? How am I going to pay, my kids' tuition or my mortgage, and the body is waiting for the mind to come together for healing. So healing, it get prolonged for even, let's say, 100 times more than when you have the resources. So being able to care for cancer survivors, I, as my background in hospice and especially in healthcare, it is so much easier for me to look beyond the patient and to see them as a person, because that is one thing that gets left out. The patient and the person are the same, but the patient is the one that get all the attention, the doctors, the oncologists, the nurses. But when you leave there, you're still a person. You're a mom, you're a dad, you have children. Who's looking after you? And that is where I come in.
That, that is so beautiful. And we often just leave behind the people that have long-term illness and not realize that they're continuing to struggle as they get home. That's the time that they actually need more compassion, more kindness, more love and attention. So I'm very curious about how you started your nonprofit organization. I think you said back in 2007. I know it really came out of your own heart of having had these experiences for yourself. But what was it like for you? I mean, what was your passion to start this nonprofit? And tell us a little bit about that process and that story.
Yes, in 2007, when I had the second experience with cancer, the first time I had a job, I had resources, which I call a safety net. When you have all the resources, all the tools that you have to wage war against this cancer, including finance and a place and everything, it is much easier for you to focus on yourself and to focus on yourself and excuse me one minute, and to get back into where life to the back into life where you have some sort of control. But are when you reach to a point where you don't have that resources. So the first set of cancer, I had resources. The second set, when I lost just about everything. And that is where the experiences of rejection, low self-esteem, in other words, you don't feel like a person, because when you go to look for resources, the criteria is so high that you cannot reach or attain or provide what they ask for. So when in 2007, I did not know that life can be so cruel, because I was always a caregiver. I was always the one that's taking care of people. So in my mind, that's how life is. But when the table would turn now and I cannot work, I lost my job, I lost just about everything, I went looking for some assistance. And when I went, it's always no, you're not qualified, you don't have children. So it was not the cancer itself, because I was literally fighting for my life to be off the street, not to be homeless, to find food. And, you know, it was so different that life was not really worth living. I'll be honest. I grew up in a Christian home, so I know God, and I know I was not going to hurt myself. And that's where we say mental illness is it's real. And I prayed and asked God to help me or to come and get me. But He can see better than me, because the pain was so much physically and emotionally. And when I see, well, day in and day out, I'm still around. And given my experiences with working in hospice, I went to several groups, meetings, support group meeting, and then there are other people that were there, and their story was my story. So I said, okay. And when I start focusing on everybody or whoever is in front of me or whoever needed help, then I myself start recovering. And then I said, wait a minute, by me helping somebody, it's benefiting me. So this might sound strange. When you help other people, it actually, you yourself get the healing. And I met one survivor. She had lost her house. And I decided I'm going to give up my place that I have and get a bigger place so she can stay with me for at least 6 months. And that is how Gardener's House started. I did not know much about the paperwork, but I knew that this was my calling. And everybody I meet, I just continue to lend them a helping hand. So that's where it started.
That's extraordinary. And it shows that when you really listen, and even in that deepest, darkest place within you, you were able to, as you started first for yourself, being in community, just by going to those hospice meetings, the other side of that is that you were able to start realizing that you too could become more whole and more healed. And you started seeing the effects of that. So, the next piece of it was really an act of caring and generosity on your part, I think, to welcome another person into your home. I don't think a lot of people would go to that extra, mile to begin to help someone else.
Thank you. I saw the need, and as I said, I made the sacrifice. And just seeing people reaction or how their growth is from the time you meet them, when you look into their eyes, when they're going through the cancer and they feel alone and nobody's supporting them, it's like total darkness, because it's in the eyes of the window to the soul, and it is so true. And when I look into their eyes, it's like there is no hope. There is no, it's like nobody there. And one of the things that I found out is that these people that come, they were independent people, people that was working, people that had a job. So it's not like somebody that just sit down and not doing anything. So it is very difficult for them to go to a stranger to ask them to help me pay my rent or my mortgage. So that I am so mindful of when I come in contact with them, whether on the phone or in face to face. And when they come, they are very, very tense. But because, as I said, of my experiences in that area, I am very, very cautious with every single person. How I respond, how I react, I have to give them my full attention. Even when I myself am not feeling well, because this cancer journey continue, but I make sure and then I can repeat what they said to me or some of it, because they would know that I'm paying attention. And by the time they leave there and a smile is on their face and you can see that flicker of light in their eyes, to me, that's priceless. That is priceless. That is hope. And even if we can't pay the full amount, at least half of it, and then we'll go and look to other organizations to see how they can help too. So that for me as a cancer survivor, and see these families, and it's not just breast cancer, it's all types of cancer.
Mhm.
And we have men and women coming, and I treat everyone the same way, because cancer is cancer and the journey is just about the same.
Yes, Maggie, you talk about healing, and healing is a really such a big part of this, of recognizing and seeing the person, the whole person. So I'm aware, just in talking with you right now, that you are a refuge for people. When they come, something in them can settle. because you're really paying, you call it paying attention, but it's like your whole being is open to them, and you're seeing them. You're seeing them in their wholeness, in their healing, and then taking it one step at a time. So, by creating this nonprofit organization, that is a place that people can reach out. They may not have even known that that was available
Yeah.
before they were, stricken with this illness, or their loved one was stricken with this illness. So um, I can really see that, you open to, through your own heart, through your own faith. You were talking about faith recently in the last few minutes, about how, you know, you knew in your being that, that there is a God, and that there is a relationship that we have, and a purpose and reason for being here. Those are the doorways to the self, right? The doorway is how we can move through, and sometimes even through, the struggle itself, and start to, become a different person, or a more whole being. And that's
Mm-hmm.
what you're really sharing and giving to them, which is so beautiful. And I do want to segue into, I know firsthand your kindness and your love, because you and I have a
Mm-hmm.
mutual friend that unfortunately had a stroke, and lived another 2 years after her stroke. But seriously, Maggie, I think that just by the love and the attention and the giving, and the selfless giving that you were able to give to her over time, that you were like a lifeline to her. And I did not see anybody else being able to do that service to her, that just pure giving, pure love, and pure service to her. So you really, really touched my heart, and I saw, just what we're talking about right now, which is that we go through our lives just assuming that things are going to be fine. You had a
Mm-hmm.
job, you were caring for other people, you were in a helping profession. And then, especially the second time that cancer came back, you were at that place in your own life where you didn't know how you were going to keep a roof over your head. You didn't know what was going to happen to you. So it's just extraordinary that you took that suffering, I'll call it suffering, but all of those things, all that complication of not knowing where things are going to go, and where your life, is going to go in the future. And really, it must have been just so frightening as well. But that by just continuing to make the choice not to end your own life, but to, go to those hospice sessions, then things started to really turn around. And here now people have a resource to find you. So it's extraordinary.
Oh, thank you, Diane. And as for our mutual friend, out of it came came a connection with you. It is amazing how things work, how Mother Nature works. I never knew you before, and through our friend, I get to know you as this amazing person. Your aura, and it helped me to be able to care for her sometimes, because being a caregiver can be a bit daunting, even when you love the person, because you have your mind, your soul, your physical being, everything has to be on alert, especially when they are in a situation like what she was in with a stroke. And it's like all your senses, just like a mother, all your senses are heightened. I think she thinks sometimes I was bossing her around of being her mother. But it's just being protective of her. And it takes me back to one of the words that I give you, kindness.
Mhm.
Because she was kind to me when I was going through my trials and tribulation, God sent her in at the right place at the right time. She was extremely kind to me. When I had the third surgery, because I had like 8 surgeries, she took off from the hospital where she works and come down to Connecticut from Philadelphia and spent a week with me, just so that, because I didn't have anybody else, just so that I can be okay. And when she would take me out for a walk, she would say to me, "Oh, you hold on, let me hold on to you so people would not think that I am walking you, but you're walking me." So it was kindness. And that is what I said. And that is what I tried to do when she was in that situation, to show her the kindness that she showed to me and love. And because of those two things that was at the top, I don't know where the energy came from. I don't know where it, but I know it's like and plus I had promised her mom that I would look after her. So I had to keep my promise. And kindness, kindness is one of those gifts that if you have that, it doesn't matter where you are or who you are, you can make an impact. And it's not only for people, but for your own self. Because when you're kind to people, it's like the endorphins and and you're happy because when you see, like one time I was at the restaurant and one lady in front of me, an elderly lady, she ordered some soup and I said, "Okay, I'll pay for it." She don't know who I am. I don't know who she is. And she looked at me and she's like, "Really?" I said, "Yes." So just her face light up. She said, "I'm going to tell my daughter, somebody pay for my soup." And it didn't take much for me to do that because I just said, okay, because I saw her looking in her bag trying to find the money and that little bit of kindness. I don't know what's going to be down the road because karma, you know. So that's why we have to be kind to people. And it has to be part of your DNA because you cannot teach people to be kind. It has to be part of who you are. So being able to look after my friend, it was it, I felt like I had no choice. And going back from Connecticut to Philadelphia, it was a bit hard, but I learned a lot. And I was able to be there even to comfort her and to make her feel that she's still a person. And this is exactly what we were talking about earlier. She was very intelligent. She was one of these sophisticated but yet down to earth person. And I wanted for her to maintain that part of her. So I try my best to allow her to be herself and then reminded her how much she had made a difference and continue to make a difference by employing the nurses that were there. And that's what I try to show her point so that she can feel good about herself, even though it was rough. So I am very happy. And out of it, I get to meet you. So,
That circle of
yeah.
love just keeps going around, and yet you open that door. I mean, you open that door. You were giving back to Beth. Our friend's name is Beth. And at the same time, she was getting so much from you. And she also had something to do with your nonprofit organization, I believe, right?
Yes, she
Garner's
was
house.
there. She was there from the start.
Mhm.
We didn't know what we were doing when it comes to nonprofits, so she was there with me. And yeah, I always say I give birth to the organization, but she was like the midwife, you know. So, one thing she said to me that stays with me while she was sick. She said, you know, a lot of people always promise to do things when they're going through stuff and it never materialized. But she said, you know, I'm so proud of you because you said you were going to do something, you know, based off your struggles, and you look what you've done with Gardener's house. I said, oh, thank you, you know. So she, yes, 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 she was there. She was there, and as I promised, her legacy has got to live on. So I would always remember her, and we have established a scholarship in her name so that others, because she loved education, she liked when people, you know, can excel, and she just loved people, you know. So yeah.
I love what you just said about legacy, that we do have legacy, and we can cut ourselves off from that and
Hmm.
come into, a much more dark place really in our own being, and not feel like we belong or feel like we have the ability to impact other people. But we have tremendous ability to do that. It's just that we have to have the courage to, to open to that, to have that passion as you did for Gardner's house, and to know that that is going to help and serve other people, so that you have a motivation, you have a purpose really to, to draw other people in. And then you found, people like Beth to really support you, and just do that right bit, or that little bit that can bring you, your organization into another place, which I believe that she did. She was on your board, right?
Yes,
And
yes, yes.
yeah.
She surely was. She was one of my biggest supporter. And if there is an area that she knows she couldn't function, she would tell me, you know, Maggie, the president is supposed to do this and supposed to do that. I'm all the way in Philadelphia, so why don't you put me as the vice president? And here is where I'll fit in. And that those are the things that I needed to help me through the organization and to understand what it is to run a nonprofit. And so she was very, very, very instrumental in getting this organization to this place. She supported us financially so that I can help other people, you know. So this is her organization also. So that is why I established the scholarship so that her name will continue to live on through, you know, Gardner's house and to have to the recipients of the scholarship.
And so I just want to, review a little bit about what we are talking about with Gardeners, and why Gardener's house is so special, which is that it's connected to service to others. It's connected to love. It's connected to gratitude and kindness, and these qualities that they don't come out of thin air. They come
Hmm.
because you put yourself out, and then another person sees that light and wants to bring more of your vision to the world, which is really what Beth was doing in service. And that became her legacy too,
Yes.
to help you. So,
Yeah.
that it's just a reminder that sometimes when, we think that we could never do something like that, it's a big deal, it's a big project, but that the love, the heart energy was really what carried you, partly because you had the experience. You knew what it felt like to be in that place where you don't know where your food and your shelter are going to come from, and to turn that around in such a way that now Gardener's house is there and available for other people to get that resource that you didn't have. And it's just, just so beautiful to see. So,
Thank you.
Maggie, is there anything else that you would like to share about your organization? I know that you do like a yearly annual fundraising in October, right? And
Yeah. We actually we're doing a fundraiser coming up this weekend. We're having a soursop tea party.
mhm.
And it's going to be it's going to be lovely because everybody's getting dressed up in their hat and their gloves and their spring dress. So that is one way of raising funds while bringing people together for an evening tea. Because as I said, the climate that we are in today, everybody is so busy and people have no time for each other. And there is so much pain and heartaches and debt everywhere. So this is an evening for people to relax while we raise funds to help our the cancer survivors. Because what we address basic needs. Basic needs include rent, light, gas, the utilities, sometimes a car note, mortgages, and food. We usually get clothing donation, but just being able to pay somebody's rent or their mortgage because sometimes it's only one time they need some assistance and that will make them current, instead of allowing them to fall further down and then they fall into poverty, then there goes the family. So being able to help them through these fundraisers and on October 12th, which is the second Saturday in October, will be our 13th annual Pretty in Pink Ball fundraiser. So that is where we raise most of our funds. And we do not have a paid staff. Everybody is volunteer at Gardener's House. And that is why I tell people when you donate to Gardener's House, you may not hear the stories. You may not see the people because I'm at the front and I'm seeing, I'm hearing, and I'm feeling. But your contribution is literally going to save people's life, to save people from being on the street, from their gas being cut off, or even to put some food in their stomach or to get some books for the kids or something. So donations for Gardener's House are always welcome. And as I said, if you make a donation and you need any, because we are not 501(c)(3), you can always get the information on how you can present the 501(c)(3) if you want to do it, whether with your taxes or not. But this is the way we do fundraiser. We also have another one coming up with the Travelers Golf Championship in June. This is we just have to raise the funds and then Travelers, I'm sure many people hear about the Travelers Golf Tournament. They would match whatever we raise with 15%. So those are the three main fundraisers that we do throughout the year. So, but
Beautiful.
the ball is the main one, where we honor survivors. Everybody get dressed up in their gowns, and I mean, this is a real ball, and we celebrate the lives of those who pass. So.
And I'm sure that Beth's life will be celebrated this fall.
Yes, and even at the tea, I am going to, pay a tribute to her and the Pretty in Pink, she's going to be there. We're going to still continue to put tribute into the we're going to have a booklet where she always put an ad in, so we're going to continue that in honor of her.
Hmm. So let's talk about the free gift that you're offering to our audience.
Okay.
Um, it is a 20-minute consultation with you for anybody who is going through cancer or knows and has a loved one who's going through cancer now. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct. And this includes caregivers because
Mhm.
we can't forget the ones that are caring for those of us who have been diagnosed and going through cancer because they themselves need to a little of attention and they need a break and they need just sometimes they just need somebody to listen, So these gifts include those who are going through, and as you said, if they know of anyone, and also those who are taking care of a loved one that's going through cancer.
That sounds like something, I mean, if there's anybody in our audience who is or knows someone like that, give yourself the gift of 20 minutes with Maggie, and you will not be in any way disappointed. So, and then the other way to find out about your organization is just to go to Gardner's House. Could you say, is it .org? Is it
Yes,
Gardner's House? So it's
WW.
GardnersHouse.org
Yes, so the gardenershouse.org in Hartford.
in Hartford.
In Hartford, yes.
Yeah.
So
It-
they can reach us there, and there is a page where a contact page where you can reach me there. We also on Facebook, we are on Twitter, and we are on Instagram. So there are several ways that you can message me, you know, um, and we'll respond to you.
And just put in the message doorways, and Maggie will
Doorway,
know
yes.
that you found out about her through this
Through a
summit.
doorway, yeah.
Yeah. Well,
You've
Maggie,
been
I cannot
wonderful.
thank you enough for being here. Thank you so much for giving us your time and your love. And, we'll just go away glowing after this interview. So
Yes, thank you. And thank you so much for taking the time to reach out to me to be on your show. And I know, I'm not going to hope, I know that this interview have blessed someone because I believe in destiny. And we were destined to be here today to do this interview. So I just want to say thank you, and thank you for what you're doing for our community, because even doing this program, even just the name doorway, when you think about a door, if, and that was one of the things that I went through when I was going through the cancer. When I was in depression, it feels like I was in this dark room and I couldn't find the door. I could not get. It's like, you have a key and you're trying to get out and you can't find the key because the room is dark. You can't find the door. And once that door is open where you can go out, then the possibility are endless. That means you go for therapy, you do whatever. So just this name alone, your program, Doorway, represent an enormous vast way of people, whatever or wherever you're from, whoever you are, can find something through that door.
mm,
So thank you very, very much. Thank you.
so thank you again, Maggie. Be well.
Thank you.